In consonance with the provisions of Section 79 of the Constitution, Act Number 6 of 1991, you, members of Parliament, made a momentous decision. You agreed to renew my mandate and repose your trust and confidence in me by electing me as Speaker beloved country, Sierra Leone. I want to thank you all, old and new members alike, and I do so most profoundly. By my oath of office, I have pledged faithfully and conscientiously to discharge my duties as Speaker of the 6th Parliament, Constitution of Sierra Leone, and to uphold the laws and customs of Parliament without fear or favor, affection or ill will. This is a most solemn undertaking. As an ordinary mortal, I can't do without invoking the intervention of Allah Almighty to guide and direct and protect me, and to grant me the wisdom, strength, and fortitude to live up to all citizenry. Honorable members, I do not know how many of you have a true understanding of the meaning and significance of the solemn oath of office that you all swore as members of Parliament last Thursday. It is my fervent hope that all of you do. But in case there is anyone with a doubt about its import, let me take just a little time to explain and consider as members of Parliament one of the greatest responsibilities that anyone can undertake for this country. Together, we alone are the chosen people for this country, and more particularly, to make laws for the peace, security, order, and good government of Sierra Leone. That power that has been given to us is inalienable and is given to us by the Constitution of Sierra Leone, Act Number 6 of 1991, which is the supreme law, the grand norm, as the Germans, surely to be done very shortly by the Clerk of Parliament. This power, zealously, to underline just how onerous this power of Parliament is.
Mr. Speaker.
It is enshrined in Section 73 of the Constitution. Precisely because it is so enshrined, it cannot be taken away from us. The interests of our country. The awesomeness of this power is further emphasized by subsection 8 of Section 108 of the Constitution, which makes it abundantly clear that any attempt by any bill members of Parliament approve And this approval goes for every stage of the legislative process. Equally importantly, because of all these stringent essential preconditions, Section 33 is generally referred to as an entrenched. Honorable members, that is not all. Even more prohibited is the penalty of treason that awaits anyone who attempts to suspend, alter, or repeal either Section 73 or any other provision of the Constitution by means other than under the express authority of Parliament. And treason, as you all know, is a capital offense punishable by death, until it was changed recently to life imprisonment by the Fifth Parliament. Whether the penalty is death or life imprisonment, it is the manifestation of the severity of the offense that matters. Honorable members, thus far I have tried to highlight the awesomeness of the power that the Constitution gives to Parliament and its members. But power is something that never stands alone. It's always in need of a companion. And that companion is called responsibility. Therefore, it is appropriate that we also consider the important responsibilities borne by every member of Parliament. Like the powers given to the members of Parliament, their responsibilities are similarly enshrined in the Constitution. For present purposes, Section 97 will suffice as the most relevant. That section enjoins every member of Parliament to maintain at all times the dignity and image of Parliament in all their activities, both in and out of Parliament, and desist from any conduct by which they seek improperly to enrich or alienate themselves from the people. I crave your indulgence. I need to repeat that particular part of my speech. Like the powers given to members of Parliament, their responsibilities are also enshrined in the Constitution. Really where I need to underscore what I'm saying. That section enjoins every member of Parliament to maintain at all times the dignity and image of Parliament in all their activities, both in and out of Parliament. In this regard, members of Parliament are not only representatives of the people, they are obligated to cease and desist from any conduct by which they seek improperly to enrich or alienate themselves from the people. This heavy responsibility is really what the oath sworn by members seeks to encapsulate. Again, it is important here that we repeat its essential elements. First, members have sworn that they will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Sierra Leone as by law established. Second, that they will uphold and defend the Constitution of Sierra Leone. And third, that they would faithfully and conscientiously discharge their duties as members of Parliament. No responsibility can be higher or stronger than to uphold and defend the Constitution of our country. In other words, Parliament is the gatekeeper of the country's great principles, values, and virtues, including upholding and defending the Constitution and its supremacy, and also respecting and maintaining the supremacy of the rule of law. As such, no sooner a member has taken the oath and taken his seat in this House is qualified to carry the high title of honorable. And he also becomes the alter ego of the House. To maintain that coveted title, the member must always demonstrate that he can be relied upon to defend the Constitution of our country. This means he must himself not be an offender of the Constitution. Because to do so is to run the serious risk of expulsion from Parliament. In other words, a member cannot put himself in a situation where he is perceived to reprobate and approbate at the same time. He must always stand above board and always stand on the right side of the law of the Constitution. Accordingly, he must conduct himself as a role model for others and therefore not making himself a violator of the Constitution in any way. So if there is any member who thinks wittingly or unwittingly he may have done anything that is in violation of the Constitution, he is best advised to consult with the Clerk of Parliament to establish whether there has been an infraction and how it could be remedied quietly and discreetly. Honorable members, this advice is not meant to frighten or intimidate. Rather, it is considered apposite that members should know right from wrong right from the beginning, and to make ourselves fully compliant with the demands and dictates of the Constitution. However, if you fail to take action and later you are discovered to have fallen out of the Constitution, it could have very serious and lasting consequences. That said, let me now turn to the next important responsibility of members of Parliament. We are responsible for translating into law the policy directives brought to us in this House by the executive arm of government. For the Fifth Parliament over the past 5 years, terminating on 25th April 2023, we were able to score extraordinary achievements, notwithstanding the vicissitudes ordinarily associated with hung parliaments, in which no political party has a clear majority. Despite the Fifth Parliament being a hung parliament, in total, we held no fewer than 301 plenary sittings, passed 84 bills into law, and some as extraordinary in nature as they were groundbreaking. Approved 64 constitutional and statutory instruments, approved 208 agreements of loans and grants, ratified 51 treaties, conventions, and protocols, and tabled 121 reports from committees and delegations. Altogether, there were a total of 829 instruments. That was a record without precedent in the history of the Parliament. Among the groundbreaking laws passed by the Fifth Parliament was the repeal of some draconian portions of the Public Order Act 1965 to give more freedom to journalists to practice their profession, the abolition of the death penalty, the gender equality and women's empowerment, popularly known as the Leone, and Section 58 of the Public Elections Act of 2022. The combined operation of these last two laws has enabled this nation to move towards the path of justice for women in this country and away from the status quo and the traditional death penalty. It should therefore surprise no one when global accolades begin to flow into the country for President Leone's decision to appoint up to 33 women into his government. Within our ranks here in Parliament, women lawmakers today account for 30.4% of the elected seats, compared to 14.5% in the Fifth Parliament. What a quantum leap this is. We must pay homage to President Bio, who signed into law the Dewey Act just a few months ago, which sets a 30% quota for women in Parliament, the Cabinet, and other public institutions. For the first time in the history of Parliament, women won 41 seats out of 120 from the general election. When we add the one-woman Paramount Chief member re-elected to the House out of the 14 Paramount Chiefs members of Parliament, we still have 28.2% out of the total of 149 seats. Honorable members, great achievements like this do portend greater things ahead of us in this country. It also highlights clearly the tremendous work and achievements of the first term of President Julius Maada Bio. The question we must now face is whether this sixth Parliament is capable of meeting the challenge left behind by the Fifth Parliament, and more important, of surpassing it. Only time will tell. Obviously, it will require more hard work, but it is certainly not impossible. It all depends on how prepared and determined we are in this sixth parliament to work hard and deliver the public goods that will continue to transform our country. I'm confident that this sixth parliament will not only match, it will more than match the record of the fifth parliament. For this sixth parliament, all the evidence points to a priority agenda having been crafted for us and promises exciting times ahead. We shall be passing bills and approving other legislative instruments specifically to give effect to the policies elaborated in the 5 game changers enunciated in the manifesto of this second administration of the President. Of the utmost priority is the consolidation of the gains of his first administration and the acceleration of economic growth and building resilience. They are first, Feed Sierra Leone, an initiative to boost agricultural productivity, to ensure food security and inclusive economic growth. If Sierra Leone becomes self-sufficient in food, it would save between $300 and $400 million dollars a year in our import bill alone, to say nothing about the other significant benefits to the country. Second, continue with human capital development in order to nurture skills fit for the 21st century through the development of technical and vocational skills, and grow the economy at the same time. Third, youth unemployment. This is aimed at creating 500,000 new jobs over the next 5 years for the employment of our youth population, which has been growing in exponential proportions. Fourth, revamping the public service architecture to achieve service delivery, efficiency, and professionalism by application of meritocracy and not chronic cronyism or nepotism. And lastly, fifth, technology and infrastructure to create new pathways for sustained and sustainable economic growth by investing in infrastructure, technology, and digitization, especially in energy generation and transmission, the construction of roads and bridges to facilitate movement and linkages between production centers and markets. Honorable members, throughout my statement, I've laid great emphasis on hard work. This is because, as your speaker, I want all of us to embrace a new work ethic. I want all of us to embrace a new work ethic as the only viable option to attaining success. For me personally, that has been the secret of my entire life. Whatever I have done or achieved in life, hard work has been my inseparable companion. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I come from a very humble background, from parents who were completely unlettered, and from a town, Minti, that is especially famous for being perhaps the first to adopt the religion of Islam in the North. Thanks to the Roman Catholic mission, who built a school in Binti, I might never have completed my primary education. By sheer dint of hard work, I went through the common entrance examination, and as it was then called, with flying colors, and won a government scholarship that lasted me throughout schooling. I am not and have never been a lucky person, and that is why I do not gamble. Throughout my secondary schooling from St. Andrew's Secondary School in Bo to the Methodist Boys High School at Kisimes Mess and to St. Edward's Secondary School at King Tom in Freetown, I was always at the top of my class. At St. Edward's, I completed my GCE A-levels in 1 year and earned a scholarship to read law at the Australian National University, and later got called to the bar in 1970. I benefited from the policy of the Australian federal government that recruited the best of the best into their service, where I spent 1 year as a legal officer in the office of the Federal Attorney General before proceeding to Cambridge University in the United Kingdom, where I successfully read for my master's and doctorate degrees in constitutional and international law. From Cambridge, I joined the Commonwealth Secretariat in London. And again, by dint of hard work, I quickly rose to the rank of director at a very tender age. During my time there, I acted as legal advisor to the then freedom fighters of Zimbabwe, Joshua Nkomo and Robert Mugabe, for their peace talks in Geneva, as well as for their constitutional conference at Lancaster House in London. I did the same for Premier Price of Belize and the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. My last assignment, before leaving the Commonwealth Secretariat, to return home to Sierra Leone in 1982, was as secretary to the Commonwealth Observer Group for the Ugandan elections of 1980. My sojourn as Executive Secretary of ECOWAS, now renamed the President of the Commission, is already well known in West Africa. Apart from being the brainchild of ECOMOG, which liberated Liberia from the throes of its civil war in the 1990s, I left at least 2 enduring legacies, which until today stand as a testament of my stewardship. First, I raised the profile of ECOWAS to a level never before attained, both within this West African region and in the wider international community. And second, I pioneered the revision and modernization of the original ECOWAS Treaty of 1975, which was succeeded and replaced by the revised Treaty of ECOWAS in 1993. So impressed were the ECOWAS heads of state with my stewardship that the then Nigerian head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, asked me to stay for another term of office. I gently declined. Because by 1993, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I could hardly recognize myself. From a sweet, innocent-looking youth of 40, I think I'll repeat it because you asked. From a sweet, innocent youth of 40 years of age with jet black hair, when I assumed office as Executive Secretary in 1988, the rigors and pressures of that office rapidly changed the color of my hair from black to silver. And since then, the blackness of my hair has never returned. Honorable members, I narrate all of this not out of arrogance or pomposity, but merely to demonstrate that I am a man with a humble pedigree who is driven solely by an ambition to deliver service to my people and to leave a legacy behind for others to emulate. I'm not a lover of glamour of high office, nor am I mesmerized by it. When I serve in any office, high or low, my guiding principle has always been to give it my all, backed by superior intellect, experience, consistency, and steadfastness, honesty, and results. Let me now conclude with a personal confession. Throughout my working life, the only man I've admired and adored as a mentor is the late Prime Minister of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew. I was privileged to meet with him and see him in conversation with his peers at Commonwealth Summit meetings during my time at the Commonwealth Secretariat. He was a man who inherited from the British colonialists in the early 1960s, the same time that Sierra Leone gained our own independence, a vastly impoverished island of 214 square miles at low tide. At that time, Singapore possessed literally nothing in terms of natural resources except its untrained and unskilled human capital, consisting of mainly Chinese and Malays and other ethnic groups. In barely 40 years, Mr. Lee was able to provide leadership for Singapore and to transform her from a third world to a first world country. Compared with Singapore, Sierra Leone is richly endowed with all the natural resources you can imagine, including similarly unskilled human capital. So the right leadership focus and determination, not just in the executive arm, but also in this legislature. We too have the opportunity to transform our country into the new Singapore of West Africa. And I believe it is possible to achieve this in our lifetime. But to get there, We must be united, resolute, and unrelenting in our march to transformation and prosperity. We must all try to understand and appreciate the fact that in the midst of all the global economic and health crises, we owe a duty to our people to deliver. If Mr. Lee could deliver for his people in Singapore in 40 years, I believe we too can. But little things can count as much as big ones. From this parliament, we can establish little values that others can follow. For example, we can start by cultivating a culture of respect for time. When outstanding orders require us to start the work of Parliament at 10 a.m. prompt and to end at 3 p.m. or beyond, let us all agree to obey. Let this sixth Parliament, therefore, agree to set an example for the rest of mankind in this country to follow, so that together we can establish a new work ethic for this nation. Honorable members, I thank you all once again for your kind attention and for re-electing me as the Speaker of this House. May Allah bless all of us and bless our country. Sierra Leone. I thank you.